Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a commentary video. I am going to be giving my thoughts, my reactions on Lydia Elise Millen. She is a huge blogger, influencer. She's kind of shifted up really what she sort of does on her channel. She does more like life vlogs, that kind of thing now. But originally, I'm pretty much an OG follower of her. Like a long time ago, I was watching her content, and mostly what she did before was just fashion and handbags, and it's quite obvious that she has changed. So I'm going to be doing some reactions on a few of her videos and giving you my thoughts on what's going on with her and her handbags. But before I dive into today's video, if you are new to my channel and you like handbags, or you like luxury, you like fashion, you just like having a chit chat about the fashion industry, then I'm that kind of channel for you. I do investigative content as well. I do unboxings, I do hauls, I do commentary videos like this one. So I do a mixture of stuff that's all kind of in that fashion scheme and beauty, skincare, that sort of thing. So if you are new to this channel and you aren't subscribed, I would love if you hit that subscribe button below, and also the bells can be notified when I upload new videos. I tend to have a weekend upload, and then if not, I might have a midweek upload in lieu of my weekend upload. But the best thing that you can do is just hit that bell so you can be notified. I am a mum with 2 kids, so I'm just not always on time. Let's get into today's video. And I'm going to start off by announcing today's video sponsor, which is actually this product here from Amazon, which is the Bob & Brad Q2 Mini Massage Gun. Now, I was actually quite surprised how much I actually really love this product, and how much my husband actually really loves this product. So this is a mini massage gun, but don't let the word mini fool you. It's small in size, it's compact, it's great for travel, and it is super quiet, considering that it has a high torque speed of 3,000 revs per minute. So it has some different attachments for the massage gun, and they are for different necessary reasons. My favorite ones would probably be this one here. This is great for like an all over sort of massage. And then this one here was great on the neck and spine area. My husband and I have probably 3 other massage machines in this house. So we have a very large one, we have another 2 small ones, and this one here is the smallest of all of them, the most compact of all of them, but it's actually the best one that we own. I have a video of me using this on him, and he loves it. He really does. It feels so good when you're using this product to massage. It's very easy to just put the attachment on, as like you see, you just kind of screw it on, screw it off. This is also great as a gym companion, or anyone that does sort of physical activities and sports. It's also rechargeable as well. It uses a USB-C point right there to recharge it. Honestly, I'm so impressed with it that I feel like everybody would benefit from having one of these at home. I also have a 10% off code as well, which is going to work on the Amazon US website, and that code is BobBrad16. So the link to shop this Bob & Brad Q2 massage gun will be down below in the description bar. Okay, so Lydia Elise Millen, she is a influencer blogger, well known for being on YouTube. She has over 1 million subscribers on YouTube. I actually was following her, watching her content, even like, I think it was like around about, what, 2016 or something like that. So she's posted a few videos about this. Basically, in a nutshell, she is selling her HERMES bag collection, and it looks like she's actually selling like most of her bag collection, it seems like, because she did do a video also showing, you know, herself packing up some Dior bags, Chanel, that kind of thing. So I'm going to start off with the video that she first announced it, and I'm just going to fast forward all the way to the part where she's really kind of, you know, more so cutting to the chase of it, because her content on her channel now has changed a lot from what I actually remember it to be. Before, she was more like haul, fashion styling, unboxing clothing and handbags, that kind of thing. Now her content is more lifestyle, very like lifestyle vlog, follow me around, live my life with me kind of content. So it's definitely shifted from what it was like years ago, and it kind of makes a lot of sense why she even is perhaps like now in this situation where she wants to sort of sell her handbags, because she tends to have just sort of just changed overall, which is not a bad thing, you know. That's definitely something I can say already as my opinion, that what she's going through and what she's sharing, I actually have no qualms with. Like, I think it's great. I actually think it's really quite enlightening, and I think it helps people to have a different perspective on the whole luxury industry and buying of handbags and that sort of thing, says the woman with a heap of handbags behind. But, you know, we will get to my real in-depth sort of thoughts about this. Now, I'm going to start with this. So I'm starting pretty much from like 43 minutes in to this video. That's where she actually starts talking about selling her handbag collection.
My entire career as a YouTuber, my channel took off from talking about luxury hauls, and most notably handbag unboxings. I think that there was one point in my career that I was doing multiple handbag unboxings.
Yeah, so I remember, you know, back ages ago, like years ago, where she'd be doing multiple handbag unboxings a month and, you know, that kind of thing. So, I mean, I'm sure a lot of it was even actually gifted to her, because you look at the other influencers that are even, like, I think maybe Tamara Kalnick, or however you say her name, she's probably on par with Lydia Elise Millen in terms of, like, exposure and following and that kind of thing. But a lot of the bags that Tamara gets are actually gifted. Like, she gets a heap of them gifted. The only ones that she's actually buying would probably be maybe the Chanel and Hermes ones, and I think most of the rest of it is probably gifted, to be quite frank. Lydia, even though she'd been doing multiple handbag unboxings a month, she also would have been gifted some of those as well.
What I now know as a almost 37-year-old woman is that handbags were a way for me to take control of things in my life in a certain degree. What I realised that I did with them is I would buy myself a handbag to let me know that I'd done well. As like a well done me. If nobody else was going to tell me that I was doing well, I was going to do it for myself. And I felt very, very empowered by that.
So she just said something that I didn't even know that was her mentality on it. And I think that this is great that she's actually explaining it. She said that she would buy herself a handbag as a well done to her. Like, it was like a congratulations to her, a reward to her for whatever it may be, some kind of milestone that she completed, something she did really well with her studies, because I know that she even said that she was studying before to save up for a bag. But I'm sure that even as time progressed on and she grew her business, perhaps she was also even buying bags as a well done for herself, like a pat on the back kind of thing. Which, when you start to get into that a reward system, of buying yourself something as a reward system, I mean, it isn't a bad thing per se, but then it's also like it comes to question yourself. Are you trying to just fill a void of, you know, you not getting your own like self-gratification for what you've done, like not acknowledging in yourself that you've actually achieved a great milestone, and, you know, like you don't need a materialistic thing to be grateful for yourself for all that you've done to get to that point. But she's saying here that she was essentially missing that mental aspect, and she just went to the handbag, or buying herself a handbag, as her reward. But that's never really the right way to sort of go about it. In my opinion, I don't feel like it's the right way to sort of go about it.
I wasn't waiting for anybody else to tell me these things, and I think that's quite a positive thing. And it feels good until it doesn't. And you'll remember a few years ago, I started editing my handbag collection. I think I'd reached at one point 75 designer handbags. And I started getting this like niggly feeling around them. I felt like I was chasing this like unattainable thing. I constantly needed the newest, the best, the shiniest, the most beautiful bag on offer. And I remember I started feeling funny about it when I bought the Dior book bag. But it really, I always talk about the Bottega Veneta pouch bag. Because for me, that was a real moment where I bought it, and 3 months down the line, I talk about it in my book Evergreen. It just wasn't a thing anymore. And I was like, God, I'm annoyed. Okay, I'm annoyed.
I remember that actually. I've actually, I can say the things that I say now, but I was completely somewhat in the same situation as her, except I didn't really tend to so much as buy myself stuff for milestones or anything like that. I really wasn't that type. I think it was already a couple years ago where I really wasn't actually buying them for like the milestone. It was just kind of just like, I would just attach it to that just for the video, but really, as a matter of fact, it was just that I just wanted to have that particular bag, and it wasn't a reward or a milestone sort of thing. It was just that it just happened to coincide with that timing. I don't think any of my bags are really, any of them are attached in that kind of way to milestones. Like, they're really just bags, and that's probably why it's so easy for me, like if I just get sick of something, that I just rehome it, because they're not actually attached to like a significant milestone. Really, truly, they're not. None of them are. It's just that maybe my video content might show that they are. It just happened to coincide that way. It's really just the truth of it. Back to what she was saying, she said the dual book tote and the Bottega Veneta pouch. like they were hot items and then all of a sudden they just weren't hot anymore. Like you were trying to get them and they were hard to get, and then all of a sudden they weren't hot anymore. And that's exactly what happened to me with the Dior book tote a long time ago when I first bought it. And I think that lasted like only like a little bit in my collection till I was like, why did I even buy this ginormous bag? This is so not going to work for me. However, I do actually have it back in my collection, but the reason I actually bought it the next time around was because I just wanted a huge ginormous bag for travel and going to the beach and that kind of thing. But anyways, that being said, for what I paid for it when I repurchased it for that reason is actually a fraction of what I paid for it originally at its initial retail price. And it's actually even gone up from then anyway, which is far worse, but like it's just plummeted in terms of pre-loved pricing. It's so cheap now. And anyways, yeah, let's continue her video.
It absolutely was the thing. So I started editing my handbag collection down from 75 designer handbags to around 15, which is still a huge amount. Ridiculous, really, absolutely ridiculous. And I started really championing not buying it handbags and focusing on loving and using and enjoying the bags that you have. As someone who was a luxury bag addict, I found the styles that I liked and I stuck to them. I bought pre-loved, I bought some new, I bought some vintage, and I created these beautiful wardrobe accessories edits whereby I can wear an ivory dress and I've got this gorgeous selection of tan bags and accessories that all work together.
So she went from having 75 bags and she edited it down to 15, and she talks about just no longer wanting to buy the latest it bag and just have the bags that she has, just loving and using them. I completely actually understand where she's coming from, but I definitely don't practice that per se. I have bags that are, I don't think I have necessarily it bags. The problem is that Chanel is so many collections come out. I'm not going to try to self-justify. It's quite obvious that the situation that she's in is different to the situation that I'm in. So, and I have definitely more than 15 handbags. And I'm not going to edit down my bag collection. I think that this is where her saying that she's going to be selling her handbags does kind of ruffle from some feathers, because you'll have people that have big bag collections, even like myself, that might feel slightly offended by what she's saying, almost like if we don't do what she's doing, we are not of the same stature or we're inferior. And I don't feel like that at all is exactly what she's saying. Like, I feel like it's ruffled feathers and people have perceived it in that way, that there is an inferiority if you are actually wanting to have this many handbags, having a lot of handbags, you know, seeing myself what I have. But I don't feel like that's what she's saying. This just happens to be her life journey. This happens to be what she feels that she wants to do. So let's get back to it.
And it was working really, really well for me. It made me really learn to love the things that I had. It felt very, very nice to use them and to get use out of things. Again, it felt good until it didn't. Until you realise that you're walking around London and you're scared. You're turning your bag the wrong way round so that people can't tell what bag you've got. Until people are saying horrible things on the internet about this particular bag that you choose to wear. Until you're starting to see content around this particular bag that doesn't really sit well with you. And until you realise the entire process, which I think has its benefits, absolutely. And this is something that I've championed, and I don't want you to think that that's changing in such a drastic way. I think making people slow down in their purchasing is brilliant. However, my actual experience has actually been sometimes not very nice as well. And those might have been things that I've maybe swept under the rug and blah, 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 blah. But I think the main thing that I want to focus on with this is the fact that nowadays I wear this bag from Tusting. I'm a horse mum, I'm a gardener, I'm a dog mum, I live in the countryside. The only times I ever get to wear my bags is going into London.
So she's actually telling you guys pretty much, this is an innuendo, a dig at Hermes. She has curated her collection down to 15 bags, being predominantly Hermes, for the reasons, you know, that she just kind of climbed that luxury stairwell, and she ended up being at Hermes, which is a top tier handbag brand, because she was always just trying to attain like the next best thing, and she's acknowledged that that's kind of how she was, and she ended up at the Hermes, at the top of the stairwell, which is Hermes, and we all know about. But this part here where she actually talks is actually an innuendo at Hermes, where she's saying that she's revealed a bag, and then she's getting comments where people are like talking badly about Hermes and the process with Hermes, which is true. I mean, I've spoken about it. You know, I've got videos on my channel that talk about how shitty their process is and the game is, and it's terrible. Like, I feel like unless you're actually going to maybe FSH, you know, or Paris, where it is not these kind of really shitty processes, globally it has somewhat of an issue, especially in the Western world, perhaps. Maybe not in Asia. I've heard that Asia is actually fairly straightforward, like, you know, the system, it's upfront, and that's actually better to me. I feel like when a company is straightforward with how they work, that to me, that transparency I actually respect. I don't respect lack of transparency and gaslighting and lying to your customers. Anyways, I've got my videos anyway. I think to some degree has always been taken out of context anyway, because I myself put like a clickbait title saying Hermes made me cry. But the actual reality was that I was just having an actual moment where I remembered my body dysphoria when I had postnatal depression. That was actually like just a triggering moment that I brought up in myself in my discussions, not really meaning to, but I just kind of came out with all my word vomit. But I understand that I actually made that video as like a clickbait title as well, but the actual essence of me crying was actually me triggering myself. Talking about body dysphoria and postnatal depression, that quite clearly back then it was still quite raw. But anyways, I digress. But yeah, she's actually explaining here that she had actually bad experiences with Hermes, and you know, the whole process, like where you have to create a wish list and buy items. She's talking about it here. She's saying that she understands that, you know, by not giving people bags straight away, it helps you to slow down your consumerism, like your purchases. But really, it actually doesn't, because there is actually other experiences that you have to go through with Hermes in order to obtain a bag. Even though it takes a while to obtain it, you are getting a lot of the time, oftenly, crappy treatment, or you're not getting transparency from them. Like, do you need to spend a certain amount, or do I just need to wait a certain period of time? Like, you're not getting any of that transparency. How many people ahead are waiting? Do you have like a priority system, or like, is it sales associates have to take turns? Like, there's no transparency. There's pretty much almost no transparency, especially in like UK, USA, Australia. I think even Paris to some degree doesn't have transparency, but they just have a lottery system as well. That's a bipartisan benefit of it actually being made in Paris, that they can have that kind of lotto system. But like everywhere else in the world, even in other places in Europe, there's no transparency. And she's essentially just talking about that she swept those kind of bad, icky feelings about the process under the rug, just because she was chasing that next big thing. She was chasing that unattainable, which was like, you know, the Hermes bags. They kind of, in a way, in a nutshell, they've actually kind of replaced how her mentality was with it bags, how it bags were unattainable, and she'd try to go for an it bag, and then, you know, it would kind of fizzle out, and she regretted that she even bought it in the first place. And she said she stopped buying it bags. But she's kind of already replaced that kind of concept with the Hermes bags, because buying it from the store is like the same thing. It's an unattainable thing, and you just don't know when you're actually going to be able to get it.
That it got to the point where it wasn't right to keep my bags at home. Probably wasn't safe. Lots of people were being robbed and those kinds of things. So I started keeping some of my bags in a vault, some of my bags at home too, at only one time, which became an absolute ball ache, and is still a ball ache in itself.
So she's pretty much saying here that she's not even actually able to use her bags all that much anyway, but she's also already discussed that she just got to the point where it just did not feel safe carrying her bags. She was flipping them around and not showing them because she was worried about theft. And that's something I actually discussed in my video where I just talked about the Workin, the Walmart Birkin, that I actually feel like that bag had actually... I actually feel like a part of the reason that bag had popularity was not only because, you know, the Birkin's unattainable and it looked like the Birkin, and that it was far cheaper than the Birkin, but also the other part is that people are tending to shift to literally non-high-end luxury designer items because of the increased crime that's happening in London, in the UK and in the United States as well. There's been some really obvious apparent increased crime. Even in Australia, we've had somewhat of an increased crime, but it's not so much focused on luxury theft, whereas like what I've noticed in what's happening in London and the UK and in the parts of the United States is that's literally luxury theft. So we had Safira Hung. I talked about her in that video. She actually is somewhat an influencer, but she's actually an art collector, but she did actually show off her lavish lifestyle on Instagram as well, which has now gone private. But she was robbed of, I think it was like 10 million pounds or something. A lot of jewelry was stolen. There was HERMES bags stolen. She actually wasn't even home when she was robbed. The other one I want to mention, Janice Justima, she also was robbed while she was at I think she was going through like one of those like personal shopping situations where like, you know, someone helps you with like curating your outfit kind of thing, something that you would experience in like Harrods or something like that. So she was in the change room, and I think she just stepped out for a moment and someone went into the change room and stole her as JPG, that's the shoulder bag, Jean Paul Gaultier's shoulder bag Birkin. Someone went in and stole it, and then she went back and she's like, what the freak, where's my bag? And that person had already gotten away. So there's clearly crime going on in London that's specifically targeting luxury bags, like specifically. So it's quite, you know, I feel like it's fair that she's feeling concerned, and it's just not really worth it anymore.
Literally woke up to the worst news. Last night, in the middle of the night, a gang of 3 men pulled up to one of our London stores. They broke through the glass and got inside the Belgravia store. They took everything they could. The police came straight away. A lot of stuff that's gone missing and that's been taken.
I'm not wearing these bags as much as I used to in my old life. I'm scared to wear them. I'm looking online and I'm seeing content that I don't love to feel like I'm a part of. And so I'm kind of going through a process of change. I realised that I didn't want to be putting myself, when I'm out and about, in danger. I've got a family. I've got sausage dogs that need their mum. I've got a horse that needs their mum. I've got a loomie that needs their mum. I've got chickens that need their mum. And I've got a husband that needs his wife. Why would I do that? Why would I put things in my home that could make my home unsafe? And then why would I do all of that for a brand that I think what they do is beautiful, but I just don't think I want to be a part of that anymore. And I'm sure there's going to be more thoughts that I have around this. And I'm sure you're going to have your own thoughts around this too. Even at Christmas time, when I would usually do my what I got for Christmas video, you know, this big discussion about what I got for Christmas, I just kind of dropped in that I'd got a bag, and it's because I'm concerned and I don't want to put these things in people's faces, but this has been my stuff that I've talked about on my channel. This is when my channel grows its most, when I talk about these things. Balance between my business head and my moral head later. And so I'm going through a transition of change, and I'm going to be getting rid of pretty much my entire handbag collection.
In this video as well, she also just reveals like a Mulberry bag. She said she's going back to her roots, which is the first brand that she was ever actually buying. It was Mulberry, and she feels that it, you know, it's untainted. It's got the nice feels to it. It's a homage to where she lives because it's a UK brand. So it's really nice. Like, I think that the bag is beautiful. I think Mulberry has always been a beautiful handbag brand. And then she's done another video to follow up on that. And I'm just really going to skip to this part where she talks about like how people are triggered by this. And I feel like it's pretty ridiculous that people are, because I mean, it's just not that deep. They're just handbags and she's gotten over them. She might end up getting back into them again later on. Who knows? But it's just, this is her life process and what she's going through. So
yes, I feel like we have been on such a journey together, and I was blown away. Absolutely blown to smithereens. Some people give me too much credit as a businesswoman, because honestly I feel like I'm winging it all the time, and I think that people think that sometimes what I'm doing is far more calculated than it absolutely is, rather than me just sharing the natural progressions of my life and the changes. and the comments really were like you could really see the difference between the people that follow like along and have been there through the thick and thin of everything, that have really seen the changes in me, that know that this was always going to come, versus the people that maybe they dip a toe in, or they've heard of it, or they've seen my video titles. And I think sometimes when people see a video title, it can feel very different to you actually watching the human being and their actual life play out on the internet.
If I could be completely honest, because I said that I had followed her for a while, there was actually a period of time I didn't actually watch Lydia because she was way too into like all the luxury stuff, but it seemed like it was almost like a bit full of herself kind of thing. But I know that that's not really her true nature, but it just seemed like it came across that way. Sometimes you're deceived by materialistic things, even as a viewer. Like sometimes your perception of them becomes blurred just because they are materialistic things. And it's quite ironic that I'm saying that I felt that kind of way about her a while ago, because I'm actually one of those people that buys materialistic things. But that's what I mean. Like that's like kind of the problem with these kind of materialistic luxury things, is that sometimes that they come with a bad connotation. They come with that a bit of an ick, so to speak. But it's like an ick that happens without you even knowing that it kind of happens.
And I think the only way that I can sort of draw any kind of correlation is obviously throughout the last few years, I think there's been trends in how women look and enhancements that women have done. And so there was this trend where women were getting lip filler all of the time, and there was like the Kylie Jenner effect and that kind of thing. And now you're almost seeing the flip reverse of that, where women are having their lip filler dissolved and it's almost like a catharsis for them. And I think that maybe I never went down the lip filler route, but perhaps my vice was something different. And so this is like a catharsis for me. And I have to be honest, whilst it feels like breaking up with a boyfriend, as I'm sure all of us can attest, sometimes breaking up with a boyfriend can feel like freedom too.
I always feel like she's still talking about Hermes, because she's had these little connotations in there, and in her last video and even now she'll have some more. I know that she will discuss this a bit further, but like when she says she feels like she's breaking up with a boyfriend, it just almost feels like a lot of this is to do with she's had shitty treatment from Hermes, and it's just changed her whole perception of luxury completely. It's kind of like, I mean, it's not a bad thing. I feel like a lot of my perception on luxury got changed to do with Hermes, and also to do with the stuff that happened with Balenciaga and Gucci, all that like disgusting stuff, the child AB stuff and everything like that. That really like completely turned a page in my book when it came to luxury, that I was just like, okay, yeah, none of these brands like are really pedestal worthy. They're probably all doing sinister stuff. But I'm just going to stick to buying pre-loved, and I'm not going to directly give money to these stores anymore. That was pretty much the take that I took on it, that I was just going to contribute towards a circular fashion environment only, where I was just buying stuff that was already used and bought by somebody else.
But thankfully I didn't do this for anybody to agree with me, for anyone to tell me that I'm doing this right. I very much am doing this for me, and the fact that I'm selling my designer bags, even though I've sold designer bags throughout my entire blooming career on the internet, particularly this one seems to have maybe ruffled a few feathers. If you are looking at me and the fact that I am selling my bags affects you, I would say that it is because you're probably doing things for the wrong reason, because me having them, owning them, wearing them should never validate what you're doing. And I think that anyone that watches my videos, I think we talk so much about free thinking. Whatever bag you ever want to buy in your life, I hope that you do it because you want it, not because I told you to do it. And I'm very careful with the language that I use around things. I try very hard not to say you need this. I try really hard to give you information. Do that so you're watching me realize these things about myself and about my life in real time. Some of the things you'll know already, some of the things you won't. See me go through some of the phases of my existence online, when I think about how ungrateful I used to be as a human being. And not ungrateful, you know, that I was unkind, but ungrateful because I couldn't see how much of my life I had to be grateful for.
She's a big point there that I feel like that's kind of that problem when you do luxury blogging and that sort of thing. It might come across that, like, I mean, I suppose we are somewhat influencing you to buy these handbags because we're buying it and you see it and you're like, oh, we really like it, maybe you'll like it too. But I really ultimately, like with what she said, your decisions to buy these bags really should come from the basis of you actually really, really, really wanting them, and not because somebody else has influenced you to get them. Like, because that's problematic. Like, if you can look at Instagram and then feel influenced to buy stuff, then it's not a great thing. Like, I think that you have to be able to just look at stuff and then see it as stuff. And then if there is something that really sparks your attention, you can wait and think about it some more, do some reviews, just wait a bit longer, and then make your decision once you've kind of let it settle for a while. Never try to make, because that's how they kind of get you with all these, like, you know, new bags that come out, even with Chanel and that sort of thing, and all the influencers carrying them, and Louis Vuitton and Dior. They do it, like, they all do it. The way that they get you is by getting you on that impulse, getting you to feel like it's something that you really need right now, you know, but you shouldn't. I feel like if you're thinking about something, and this is like the beauty about shopping pre-loved, actually, and I actually recommend it to anyone who actually likes to shop handbags. I really feel like pre-loved is the way to go. Just always make sure you authenticate your bags, and I've got my details in the description bar for the authentication company I use. But, and not only that, also protect yourself with your purchases. But yeah, like, the beauty about buying pre-loved is that when you only want to buy pre-loved, you are limited to only what's available pre-loved. And if there happens to have been something that you want, but you refuse to buy it from the store, you can just wait until it comes up pre-loved at the right price, like at a price that's less than the retail. And if it doesn't come up, it doesn't come up. You just move on, and it's like, it is what it is. It's just not that deep. So that's probably all my commentary is on that video. But then I have my very last one here before I show you the video where she actually just shows all her bags. This very last one is actually just why she's selling her bag collection. It is more recent upload. She actually uploaded this on the 28th of March, and this is actually a conversation that she was having with her life coach, where they just delved down the whole brainstorming and breaking down the reasoning, like, with why she's gone down this journey of, like, wanting to sell her, basically her entire handbag collection.
Most important is to say that this isn't about never enjoying nice things and luxury things are the same thing sometimes. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes the quality isn't there. It's not about denying that. It's not about denying enjoying nice things and utilizing and buying nice things. It's just about being a little bit more aware about how we attach these thoughts. If you are new here, because I know that there's always some new people here, Jacqueline is my life coach. I really appreciated you just going through that with me, because I feel like I'm breaking up with a boyfriend, but it's not. It's my stupid handbags. I felt like handbags have been at the center of my life for a very long time. And what has come up in the most recent few weeks is that I needed to go through the motions with that. And what it has highlighted is just so many other areas of our lives that we do this, because I feel like I'm shedding layers constantly. And that is kind of something that I think people just go through in general. Like,
I think it's like what we were saying earlier. So first of all, we want to say that there's no right or wrong to any of this, right? Like, some people will love their bags and want to have them every single day, and then other people like you will choose a different path.
Yeah.
Okay, and so let's just start there.
Yeah.
A lot of the work that when you do some introspection and you are in self-development and you're in coaching and you're learning more and more and more about yourself and you're just evolving as a person, then sometimes what happens is we make massive changes.
Even though she is selling her handbag collection, it's not that she's saying, and this is where I feel like where opinions that have come out that have been a bit against this have kind of misconstrued what she was trying to say. Like, I feel like at first thought you might think, oh, okay, well, because I don't want to sell all my bags and I still like luxury, then I'm inferior to you or something. Like, but I knew that in a nutshell that she actually didn't mean that at all, because I actually know, I feel like I understand the path that she's gone down now and where she's at. I feel like she's had her red pill moment now. I feel like I already had my red pill moment ages ago, but I just didn't feel the need to sell I don't feel this need to sell my luxury handbags. I took a different route with sticking to only pre-loved purely. But yeah, I just feel like this is really just her red pill moment. This is just her having that red pill where she's just come to that epiphany where the reasoning behind her buying it, and perhaps she's had horrible experience, maybe even with Hermes, that she's kind of just gone, why am I even into these things when, like, it just doesn't, like, give you that good feeling. Like, the right thing for her to do is to just get rid of her luxury bags. But I actually could predict that she might actually add some back, and there's nothing wrong with that, but she just might have a different mindset of it. So I'm just going to fast forward a little bit into this.
Now, there's nothing wrong with great bags, and there's nothing wrong with great anything, great, but when it becomes an identity for us, that's when we need to start to look at things and say, is this healthy for me, right? And people build their identity in lots of different ways. You know, they can do it through work. You know, they've got to get to the top of the company and then I'm valuable. We put it on the outside thing, but growing up and evolving is a huge part of change, and it's a huge part of saying to ourselves, these things that I'm looking for on the outside of me aren't making me fulfilled anymore.
And I guess it's not something, because I was thinking then when you were saying about, you know, some people do it with their work, some people do it with bags, diamonds, blah, blah, blah. It's not something for you to go, right now, like, what am I attaching my identity to? It's almost like you just get to a point and you go, ooh, this feels different now.
Because, you know, there's been a billion books written around this. And there's a Buddhist saying, I'm not going to get this right. It sort of says, like, I hope you buy the Ferrari quickly, because then you realise it's not about the Ferrari. As I said, I will get that wrong. It will not be, it was not correct, you know, correctly said, but it's something along those lines of, like, you have to get those things to learn that they're not the things that really make you happy.
Because you hear it and you go, yeah, happiness is an inside job, but you still go around doing the things that are the external things in the hope.
But you have to, that's the point, right? Like, you have to do that to come back to yourself. And that doesn't mean that a lovely handbag doesn't make you happy. That's not what we're saying. We're just saying that we don't want to attach our identity to that.
Yes.
Like, we just don't want to attach our identity to things outside of ourselves, because our value and our worth comes from ourselves.
Yeah. That where her life coach is explaining to her that Lydia had come to the realization that her attachment with handbags was like about her value and her worth. And that's, I feel like that's not great. It's not. The bags should not be a part of your value and your worth, because if you feel that that's the attachment that they have to you, then it can be unhealthy to some extent, because you're constantly just going to keep adding them then, because a bag is not an equivalent of value and worth, like your value and worth. It literally has a value and worth, like in terms of like resale market and that sort of stuff, but like a materialistic item cannot represent your value and worth. Like, it cannot. That's just my take on it. I feel like that's a big thing in this for her, is that she's come to the realization that, like, and she's gradually come to that realization. Then on top of the fact that the bags also just don't feel safe for her to carry anymore. Like, she feels more paranoid. She feels like she's putting her family at risk, and it's just not worth it. And then as well, with the bad experiences that she has had, quite clearly she's had digs at Hermes in the videos that I've already discussed. Just wanted to do one more kind of reaction video before I wrap this up, because this actually took a lot longer than I thought. So this is her video on Instagram where she's actually showing all the handbags that she's selling.
I'm selling my Hermes bags, and not to be dramatic, but it genuinely feels like I'm breaking up with a boyfriend. A shock to some perhaps, but for those who truly know me, they know that this moment has been a long time coming. I started sharing my life online nearly 15 years ago. In those early days, I worked 4 jobs alongside studying for my degree, saving every penny to buy pre-loved mulberry bags, small trophies that symbolised my own successes, especially in the moments when that recognition wasn't always found elsewhere. Soon enough, I began sharing my love of luxury handbags and fashion through my videos, and quite literally, my life changed overnight. I would spend hours scouring the internet and vintage boutiques for the best pieces within my budget. I'd wait for sales to secure the latest trends at a fraction of the price, and I'd trawl Bicester Village for last season's must-haves. I documented it all, taking my audience along for the journey. As my business grew, I was able to buy pieces brand new, and before long, Mulberry was replaced by Dior, Dior by Chanel, and eventually I found myself playing the Hermes game. I built my collection through in-store wishes, pre-loved finds, and treasured vintage pieces. And in the process, I learned invaluable lessons about quality, patience, and craftsmanship. So much so that I eventually downsized from a collection of 75 luxury handbags to a carefully curated edit of well-loved, truly special pieces. And just like that relationship we've all had, that one that felt right until suddenly it didn't. I began to feel a shift. I caught myself turning my bag around as I walked down the street, worrying about where I could and couldn't take it, feeling a little bit funny about content being created around these bags online, myself included, and brushing off less than stellar experiences in store, telling myself it was just part of the process, until one day I had to stop and ask myself, what am I doing? So here I am, packing up the last of my collection, a collection that for so long was a marker of my successes. And yet I've come to realise I no longer need to measure my achievements in handbags, nor do they hold the power to bring me happiness. And instead, I've gone back to my roots with this pre-loved Bayswater that I picked up for 300 quid that comes with a lot less baggage, pun intended. And with that, my edit with Sellier is now live, and with 20% of the proceeds going to support women through the many challenges that we face.
So yeah, she's showing a lot of the bags that she's rehoming, but it's obvious that she's rehoming more that's even been shown. But yeah, you see again that another remark where she said she's brushed off less than stellar experiences as though it's just a part of the process. I feel like, again, that is another dig at Hermes. I just feel it, because she also said at the beginning that like what she had collected, and then she eventually ended up playing the Hermes game. So I just, like, I mean, definitely she's obviously had an awakening as to whether like she's had just these horrible experiences with Hermes, and then her life coach has helped her to kind of dissect it, sort of thing, and just came to the realization that she's like, why am I even buying these things if there's like now an attachment of like a crappy experience to go with it, and I'm kind of being made to feel less self-worth. Like I feel like that has been like a part of like that light bulb moment, that mind blown sort of moment that's probably happened to her. And I mean, I can't speak for her, and I hope that, you know, if she has more to share about this, and I hope that she does, and she doesn't feel like just because there is some negative connotation online with some opinions about her selling her handbag collection, I hope that doesn't stop her from sharing. I feel like what she has said is just so important as well, because it just gives a whole different mindset on the whole luxury shopping and like buying of luxury goods, materialistic goods. I feel like it's nice to see that from someone who has actually shown their journey with buying luxury over the many years. She said she's been doing it for 15 years, and then actually just doing this whole like, not really a backflip, but just having this whole like awakening where she's like been able to just pinpoint things that have been like, yeah, no, this doesn't seem right, and I don't need these things anymore. I think it's nice and refreshing. I have no issue with it whatsoever. I definitely am not in her situation where I want to rehome all my luxury goods. I'm not doing that at all. I already explained to you guys that I've had my awakening as well. I had bits and pieces of things that kind of contributed to it. It's almost like I went on my own stepping stairwell towards like a big awakening, and there were things that contributed to it that was to do with the Hermes game and all that sort of stuff as well. But then there was the other things that just kept happening and piling, and like store experiences, even like quality things, like price points, like the prices kept going up. This stuff with Balenciaga, with Gucci, and then again even with Hermes, and I was just like, the stuff with Balenciaga and Gucci was probably like that ultimate total tipping point, because I went down those rabbit holes and then found out that there was just like all this sort of weird, creepy stuff. I'm loving it. I love seeing her journey. I love seeing her talking about this quite openly. I think it's really nice and refreshing, and I feel like we shouldn't be discouraging this, but of course there's always going to be negative Nancy's. There's always going to be negative Nancy's on the internet, of course, but I'm loving what she's saying, and I really hope that she shares more. And if it is about Hermes, I love to hear it as well, because I just feel like there is just, I hate the whole, like, and like I said, I still like their bags. They have beautiful designs. Their craftsmen are freaking amazing. You know, their designers are freaking amazing. Their colors, leathers, so many great things about them, but their process is for the most part pretty freaking disgusting, and the whole like gaslighting thing is pretty crap. So I hope that she actually shares more about it, and she did say in one of the videos that she thinks that she's actually going to talk more about it. But I think it's nice and refreshing when you see someone like her who is an influencer, but she's actually willing to talk about the crappy stuff as well. And I hope that she continues to share her journey with how she is with luxury right now, her mindset with it. I hope she continues to. And I also feel like it's totally fine, in my opinion. I feel like it's totally fine if she decides that she wants to start adding bits and pieces back. I don't think she's gonna feel comfortable with like a 75 handbag collection again, but I think it's also totally fine if she adds some pieces here and there if she decides to. If she doesn't, that's also totally fine, because the economy might change and she might feel more safer in the future and she might want to add some back. I wouldn't hold her to it. I definitely wouldn't say, hang on, you were selling all your bags, you said all this, no. I think that she's totally fine. You know, like they were saying that, you know, you kind of just shed your skin and you change and evolve. And if she decides to go down the route of adding some bits and pieces back, then that's also okay. I just feel like in this current moment, she quite obviously just needs to rehome like almost all of them. So that is it. Thank you guys for watching this video. Leave your thoughts down below and I'll see you guys in my next one.